Hello my fellow readers, in this video I'm going to give my year in review for 2022. I'll just say right off the bat, this year was a massive year for reading, and I guess in that sense I will say right off the bat, I guess I failed in one of my reading resolutions, which was to read less, but I guess at the same time I didn't necessarily want to read less. I wanted to read with more purpose, like not just read because I had to, and I will go over and show like all the stats and everything, but essentially I finished up at 680 books, which was up from last year. I can't remember. I think I might have been in like the 170s, 670s last year. And yeah, I was trying to ease myself back a little bit and not put too much pressure on reading, because I think I've mentioned before, I get a bit obsessive compulsive over it, and I feel like I have to finish stuff even if I'm not like really into it, or there's no need to actually finish that day or whatever. I feel pressured to actually do it. Again, it's all internal pressure. It's not anything like external or that I actually have to do it. It's all on me. So I'm trying to work on that and not like obsess over it or do anything, too wild. I'm trying to give myself a break. So I don't know. I guess I semi-failed with that, but at the same time there was a lot of stuff I didn't feel too pressured about, and also the numbers higher, of course, because I got more into light novels, which don't take as long to read. They're a lot shorter works than others. And of course I was still reading a lot of manga, which you will have seen me reviewing a ton of that on there. So I don't know, it's okay. Reading challenge wise, I finished all of my reading challenges, so it was, I believe, 3 total, maybe 4. Oh my goodness, I think it was 4. As I did Book Riot's Read Harder challenge, I did my library's Read More reading challenge, I did By the Bookends monthly challenge, and Novelists reading challenge. So yeah, 4 completed reading challenges. It was wild. I had a bit of a wild year for reading. And of course I did keep my resolution to read more light novels. I got really into light novels this year. Now I have a whole slew of light novels that I need to read throughout 2023 because of how into it I got. I'm now on kind of a book ban until I catch up with manga and light novels, because I have way too much crowding me and I need to get them done and out of the way. But overall, I feel good about 2022. I think it was a very successful year. I had some moments of illness that kind of impacted how I was feeling or what I was doing, but in general, yeah, I think it was a pretty good year. So I can't complain. I don't think there's anything else I forgot. I don't know. What was interesting about 2022, I think from a purchaser standpoint, was still the delays that were impacted, and including with like having the LitJoy crate box and not even knowing which one I was getting because it was so way off season that I was never sure which one I had. So I think I'm still waiting for winter of 2022. I think that one still has not come out. So there you have it. It's now actually January when I'm filming this, so welcome 2023. It's kind of funny for me. I know a lot of people like to wrap up their year in November, but I actually like to wait until the year is done, just in case I accomplish a book that becomes my favorite for the year. I don't know. I might change things up this year. I don't know, but in general, I like to actually look at the year as a whole and let me even get through December to see what that whole year was like before I do the review. So it's still early in the year, but I don't know. I like to look back fully and put it just in January, because who really cares about anything else in January? A lot of people don't even like to post anything in January. It's kind of like nobody's watching or paying attention month, so it doesn't matter to me. I'll give a summary of what happened the previous year. So I do hope to come back. I was going to put in what my favorite books were from 2022, but I think that's going to take too long. So at this point, I'm planning to do a top 20 of 2022 for books, and also do a top list for manga and light novels, but I'm going to do those together because I didn't have as many top for those as I did for regular fiction books. So those are coming as well. And I'm excited for that because even though it's a new year, my top from 2022 can be reads that you might want to read throughout 2023. So I think that'll be fine, and that's coming soon. I want to cover my reading resolutions for 2023. And again, I think this is going to be very long, so I'm not going to cover them here. I will do a separate video that'll cover my reading resolutions. And then after that, we'll get back to reviews and looking at more manga and stuff. So that's what's coming video-wise. But for now, I will let my Goodreads and reading log take over and take a look, see what I read, because there was, oh my goodness, so much this year. Yes, so much. I like that I am not going too wild this year for my year in review. I plan to just go over a quick rundown of the books, like just show them quickly, because I mean, you can go back to the quarterly reviews if you want. I'm just going to go over the total and then some of my stats that I picked up from my 2022 reading log, because this is my first year doing this, and I think it's really good to see. I gathered like all the diversity statistics, but also like how much backlist and everything. Now, I'm hoping that these statistics will be fairly accurate. The one thing I noticed is that my reading log kind of glitched somewhere towards the end, and I couldn't figure out how to make it do what it was supposed to do. Like, I kept looking at the cell and it was still saying that it was part of doing the formula thing, but then it wasn't automatically doing the thing. And so, I don't know. I was like, you know what? I don't care. So hopefully the statistics are still correct, but either way, I'll just go over quickly again, showing what the reading log looked like, and what was covered for it. In case you want to join, they did. I got this from Book Riot, and they did post one for 2023. And originally I was like, oh, maybe I don't need to do 2023. Like, maybe that's too much. But at the same time, I really liked keeping the statistics this way. So I have begun one for 2023. But, you know, you don't have to if you don't want to. And of course, I do still keep my Goodreads page. You're welcome to actually come and find me on there. It's fine. And let's just go forward and take a look at my 2022 reading log. Started off the year with The Strangers, and this was middle grade. I'm trying to remember in my mind, like, these early ones, but this was a middle grade, and it was about a family of 3 kids, and they see, I'm trying to remember if it was TV or like a newspaper, where 3 kids with like their same age and names disappear. And there's just all these coincidental things. And then I think their mother disappears, and it actually is a little middle grade, like, kind of mystery series. I think there was 3 of them. So that's my start to the year. And of course, finishing The Midnights, which was a book, and I used that in one of my other videos. But yeah, here we go. So this was a whole lot of me having to keep these statistics and really keep track of what I was actually doing throughout the year. And it was a lot, but I really enjoyed it. I liked getting to see how I was doing stuff. And at times it was definitely more difficult than other times to fill everything in, because I'd get busy with work and with life in general. And, you know, it became a lot, but it kind of helps even to like go back and see all these. And I know that if there's a book that I read that year that I'm trying to remember more details on, I can just do a quick, you know, control find and search for it and see all the data. But it is hard to believe, like, some of these that I read, like Requiem of the Rose King. That was a big chunk of time, and not that I regret it, because it was really good. But this is just a lot of, you know, fitting things in, whatever kind of, and it is true. I've been contemplating, and if you're interested, you can let me know. I've been contemplating doing a video that goes over how I do read so much, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to because I don't think that that's what's important. And I don't think anybody should be striving to like just finish more books. For me, when I have time, a lot of times I have or make myself have free time in the morning. That's when I'm usually like trying to wake myself up, prepare for work, and a lot of that like having things to read and or listening to a little bit of audiobook really helps me wake up my brain, get me ready for the day. And then again at night, it actually helps me settle and relax. So, but there's a bit more to it than that. And it does take time and training to like everybody reads at different levels and everybody's comprehension is different. And so it's interesting, but I do find that the more that you read and listen to the words, the better you get at it because your comprehension increases, and it just does. And I've been a fairly heavy reader for a number of years. So, it just grows from there. So this charts, just to go over again, because I know I covered this a long time ago, but this covers the title, author, the narrator, or you can do the artist or the translator of the work, the publisher, the publication date, the date that you start reading it, the date that you finish it, the number of pages, whether or not you DNF'd it, I should say too. I don't tend to ever DNF a book. So there you go. The pages of the book or the length of the book, the format of it, which is usually audiobook, print, or digital, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. I feel like I need to find some good nonfiction for 2023. So if you know any, let me know. But nonfiction's so hard because I feel like I have to be in the mood to want to hear about it. Like usually I'm good with memoirs, but some of the other ones not so much. The form of it, so prose and comics are my two biggest types. Although this year I hope to add more shorts. I don't really want to add more short stories, but I want to try to maybe get some more short stories in there. I was looking to see, and more poetry. I'm definitely going to do more poetry for this year. I actually have some picked out already. And then they do the genre, the audience. So that's like, kids, adults, YA. Representation of the book. That's on there. We'll just go forward. And then if it's a reread, if it's a translation, the original language, and the nation of origin, and the book source, so wherever you got it from, whether you purchased it this year, whether it was a review copy or from the library, or on your TBR for a while, those are all in there. And then the reason for reading, that's usually fun, work, school, book club, personal development. My two are usually just either for fun or for book club. Occasionally I'll fit one in for personal development, but or for work, but usually not. And like for work is more like a professional development book. So here's the part that like broke. It used to tally the days read and the pages per day and the time per day. And it just, for whatever reason, it stopped doing it at some point, and I couldn't get that to fix. So let me go back. So I guess it must have been about here that it stopped doing it. Let's see what time period that was. So in the summer, around June, it gave up the ghost and stopped working. So there you go. And then you do your star rating. And I like that this has like half stars, because I really wish other places like Goodreads would do half stars. Because sometimes the half star really does matter. Like I'm just saying. And earlier on, I did use this. You could note the number for the read harder, and then notes on it. I started to not do notes on them. I just didn't have time, and it wasn't of value to me. But if you want to leave notes, you can. From there, with all the data in there, it then automatically does different charts and statistics. So I like the pie charts myself. So this shows me I finished all the books. I didn't DNF any. I did mostly read fiction. 95%, almost 96% was fiction. Only 4% was nonfiction for the year. For my format, it's pretty even between audio and print and digital. Like if I combine print and digital, there's a little bit more that I did like physical reading. Digital, well, I was going to say this is mostly advanced reader copies. However, I did read a couple of manga, but I mean like literally a couple of manga, and I don't think I've read a light novel on there yet, although I do own some and I plan to read them on there for this year. Because I'm trying to remember, I don't think I read Book Girl this year. I think that was last year, but I could be wrong. And then audio, I do finish a lot of audiobooks a year. Really helps me get through books that I want to read. And then the audience, mostly I read adult fiction or nonfiction, but I did get some YA in there, about 42%. I will say a lot of the YA is probably a manga series and not just prose. And then a couple of middle grades. I do like to throw in a couple of there so that I still have a background in all readings. And this does include, I think there were a few picture books or the middle grade prose fiction. Form is mostly prose, and then of course comics. A couple of novella, well, I think maybe there was one novella, and then a short story collection. I did read a couple of short story collections, but I am not really a short story person. That's what I have discovered about myself. So I do try to make myself read some, but I'm not a short form fiction person. I can deal with light novels because there's like a bigger, I should say light novels that structure themselves to have like little episodic bits, because it is episodic. It's not like a full short story, but the prose that is like just short form wrapped up in that one story, I'm not a huge fan of. I like longer work. And so over here we have the genres, and you can see by my chart that I'm a diverse reader when it comes to genre. I do not have I do have a particular favorite, and you can probably see what it is, which is fantasy. But beyond that, I do like most other genres as well. I read a lot of like thrillers and crime. I read a lot of just general fiction. I read some sci-fi. I read a good chunk of horror for sure. I enjoy me some horror. And then like memoirs and bio. Historical fiction I like, and then romance. Yeah, I like to like cleanse my palate, I guess you would say, with like just an easy romance read. I'll throw that in there when I need just a break. And then pub date, you can see here that this is the biggest pie piece was from backlisted stuff, so anything published before 2022. And I think this one, it doesn't say, I think this one is pubbed in 2022, and I think this might be any advanced reader copy, maybe? Like maybe this is if it was coming for 2023, because I'm thinking of how small the percentage is. That could have been advanced reader copies that are coming out in 2023. Page count, I understand this skew completely, because these two right here would be from manga and light novels, because they're all between 100 and like 300 pages. And then these would be more just the general fiction books, and it'd probably be like anywhere from 300 to 400 pages. And then I do get a couple of the door stoppers in. But not as many. And then book source, I think this is interesting, but also very telling. So about half of my books come from the library. And when you read as many as I do, that's good, because that would cost a fortune if I purchased all those. So I love supporting the library. I think everybody should. And especially if you want to be a bigger reader, try using the library. What I like to do is read from the library. And then if I really love a book, then I purchase it. And there's also ones that I might purchase and then I donate it to the library, because maybe I didn't love it as much as I was hoping I would. And then from this year, about 7% of the books I read were review copies, which is really good for me because I used to like get a lot of review copies from like NetGalley and then forget to read and review them. But I am making myself be better with that now. I actually schedule them in and I make sure that I read them. And I'm very glad that I do because I've caught a bunch of good books before they're published. And then about 21% was from my own TBR. So these are books that I purchased before this year and needed to read. And then 23% were ones that I purchased in 2022. And a lot of these were probably like manga, I'm thinking. And then here's my audiobook length. And this is probably right. Most of the books that I finish are between 6 and 12, with a couple that are more like 14 to 15 and some that are longer. These I think have been like the Wheel of Time, have been mostly like the longer ones. And I'm getting close to the end of that series. I think that's my goal for 2023 is to finish the Wheel of Time. And then this is my books finished by month. So you can see that generally I was over 50 books here, and then it would jump down. Usually I would get at least 30 books a month, so that's about where these are. And then these are the months that were more. In August, apparently, I had a huge spike where I almost read 100 books in August alone. It also makes sense, though, because I think I was on vacation in August. So I think I got to finish a lot more books than when I'm, busy working. And my star ratings, this is pretty accurate. I do find most books to be about 4-star. And then lesser to be at the top or, junky. I think most of the ones that I pick out and read anyway, I think are usually fairly successful. So if I read it, it's usually pretty good. And then here you can go over author and artist gender. Sometimes if I didn't know the gender, it might be under other, because I didn't know what else to do. It's like if I can't find it, there's a lot of like Japanese authors that you can't look them up, and they probably don't want to be, especially if they're doing more like LGBTQ writing, but like GL or BL. I don't know. You can probably find it if you do like deep searching. I don't have time for what I'm doing, and I really don't care. So if I don't know it all, I just mark it as other. But in general, I read more female authors than male authors. And I think there are a few like non-binary that are here. And nation of origin, the majority of what I read comes from the US. I had a couple from Canada, the UK, Japan, obviously a lot of manga and light novels, and some regular novel fiction as well. And then this year I tried to do a couple more from Korea. So I know there are other countries in here too, like France, I think Poland, I think there was the Argentinian author as well. So there are, like, you can see little tiny slices in the pie, and it's because there are other countries, but they just don't count them. I have no problem reading translated work. I'm a big fan, obviously, since I read manga and light novels. Doesn't matter to me as long as it's good and well translated. Then POC authors versus white authors. Probably because of manga, the POC authors are a larger percentage than the white authors, because this would include Japanese authors, Korean authors, as well as Black authors, indigenous authors. So I think that's fair. What's interesting here, because you'll see like the protagonist, whether or not they are a person of color, there are some that are written by a person of color, but the character is more done to be white or European. So anyway, that's why that looks like that. But I try to keep like, even, I like representation. It's interesting for me to see it laid out, because I never have before. I just pick up and read what I like. Like, I don't read with statistics in mind. I read what sounds interesting. So It's definitely interesting for me to see it actually laid out. And again, here, there might be things that are skewed because if I can't easily find something out, I don't mark it down. So, you have to understand when you do stuff like this, like if you don't know, it's not going to be there and whatever. But this has queer authors versus non-queer authors. So I have it marked with this percentage for non, but I'm not outing anybody. Like, I'm not going after like the author for sure. If they don't mention it, probably had to mark it this way. Whether or not that's actual statistics, I don't know. And it also doesn't matter to me. Like, it matters to read books and have representation and having authors that are represented that way. But I'm not going, if they're not comfortable being out, that doesn't mean they're not queer. It just means they're not out. And I'm not here to out them just so that I get a statistic on my chart. So, whatever. Again, protagonists. So I think it's interesting. Translation versus not. I guess if you looked at this, you could judge that percentage of the authors as like which ones is probably not a Japanese or Korean author, perchance. Anyway, I think this is interesting. Obviously, I read more non-translated, but there are quite a good chunk of translated books. Again, mostly from manga and light novels, but there are others represented there too. Disability rep. I read some titles with disability rep. Again, it's so interesting to me to see it laid out like this because I don't really think about it when I'm picking it out or reading it. I just think, does the story sound good? And, then if stuff is in there, different representation, that's fine, but I'm really looking for good work in general. So, it's interesting. And then this page I don't usually look at, but it just like goes through everything. So I guess if you did want to see like nation of origin actually broken down, so you can see there was 12 books from Korea, 272 from Japan. Again, these aren't all manga or light novels. Sometimes there's actual novels as well. Some from France, Ireland, Australia, Canada, the UK. Yep. And then Russia and Poland. I know the Poland one is probably all the Witcher. I think there was one or two more from that were non-Witcher works, but I know that a good amount of them was The Witcher. So again, like some of this is not going to be accurate because it stopped calculating it, but yeah, it's fun. It is fun. There's the breakdown of the number of books per month. So you can see it was about the same-ish, and then a huge spike in August, and then back to about the same-ish. So super fun. And then the last one was just, not the last one. The last one's a book spending log, which I am never going to fill out. I don't care. So this one is the Read Harder Challenge, which you can see I filled in as I went along and completed. So, yay. So now we'll hop over to Goodreads and do my my year in books 2022. So I've read almost 200,000 pages and 680 books. The shortest book was Eyes That Kiss in the Corners, which was such a beautiful picture book. I loved that picture book. It was just so warm. And the longest book I finished this year was The Fiery Cross. And I still need to finish the Outlander series as well. The average book length in 2022 was 285 pages. And I think that is probably accurate looking at the length of light novels and manga as opposed to like regular fiction books. The most shelved book that I read this year was The Time Traveler's Wife. I was enjoying the HBO show for The Time Traveler's Wife, which sadly got canceled. And it made me want to finally read the book. I had read her other work. What was it? Her Fearful Symmetry with the Twins. I think that was the name of it. And I really liked that one. So I'm like, why have I just never read this one? So I did. And I did enjoy that book, actually. And then the least shelved was Devils and Realists, which is not surprising. This is a lesser talked about manga series. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. And my average rating is 4.1 stars. And that's probably accurate. My highest rated on Goodreads is Jujutsu Kaisen, Volume 14. Everybody must love that volume. And my first review of the year was for Five Nights at Freddy's, The Silver Eyes. The thing that makes me sad about this is I forgot all about this controversy, but I'm pretty sure. So I mentioned here, while I love the artwork, I think I like the novel more. So I did love the artwork for this first volume. I think this had my favorite artwork, but I'm pretty sure this is the one where there could have been stolen. If anybody remembers, you can leave a comment below, but I think there was stolen fan art that was used. So that's kind of cringe. But I think I'm correct in that, and that makes me feel bad because I loved the art in this. And maybe they should have found that fan artist and hired them to do it. And then here's just a look at my 2022 books. I like seeing if any stand out. Obviously, they do try to highlight the 5-star ones. So Eyes That Kiss in the Corners definitely got a 5-star from me. It was such a good little picture book. Also really liked Kaiju number 8. I'm enjoying this series. It is kind of typical shonen, but at the same time, I am intrigued to want to know what exactly is going on in that world, because it's wild. Maya Angelou, she was great. So Innate Magic. Wow, I finished book 1 in 2022. I didn't remember that. I loved this one so much, and I was really disappointed by external forces. Sorry, Shannon Faye, but I thought that the setup here deserved a better book than what I think we got. And well, that makes me sad because I do love the world, and I actually really love the characters, and so when I'm spending time with them, I enjoy it very, very much. But that second book kind of dragged a little bit, which made me very sad because I do love and support the work so much. I definitely think anybody should read Innate Magic, though. I loved that book. I also didn't realize that I finished this one this year, always in December. I feel like I read that so much longer ago. Very sad. Very sad book. I also finished Emily Stone's other work that came out in 2022, which we'll probably see. And there was the start of my light novel quest for the year with Masquerade and the Nameless Women, which is very, very good mystery. Clap When You Land, which it's not like I put off reading, but at the same time I didn't read it as quickly as I could have. Brilliant. Elizabeth Acevedo is brilliant. I love most of her books. And then My Lovely Two Lions. Beautiful World, Where Are You was out this year. That was a good book, and it actually was kind of like a happy ending story for Sally Rooney. So that made me smile. Here was one I picked up. It was to fulfill one of my reading challenges, but I was really sucked into this work, and I liked it very, very much. Death's Master, and this is part of a series, and I'm considering getting the other ones, but you can only get them through Kindle, so or digitally. Probably other sources digitally too. Some of it's revisiting wild and wacky stories. Fire and Hemlock is a Diana Wynne Jones book that I finally got to. Because there's a few I sort of put off because, once you get to the end, then they're all done. But I finally got to this one this year. And then I was worried I wasn't going to like it. And then I don't know, it swept me up into that world. It's very like classic fantasy tale. And I really enjoyed it. My beloved Tear Moon Empire. I can't wait to get to more of this series. And I definitely look forward to doing that in 2023. I do have a lot of it already purchased. Pat Barker's Women of Troy. I think it was The Silence of the Girls and The Women of Troy. Great. Great. Just so great. Sometimes when I'm looking through here, I do feel like it was like so long ago because I have gotten through so many. But I do remember most of them as well. So even though I read a lot, they also stick with me. I can't wait to read the next book. This is the sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw. I can't remember its name right now, but I cannot wait for that one. I might do a re-listen to My Heart is a Chainsaw to prepare for that one before I read it. Book Lovers, which I'd read as an arc, but adored. This was my favorite one. I know not everybody agrees with that, but for me as a bookish person, I don't know, I loved Book Lovers. I Cannot Reach You. I don't remember if I got to talk about I Cannot Reach You or My Love Mix Up, but I should. I really enjoy these two series. If I haven't, I gotta go back now and see if I did. Prince Freya, which I'm really enjoying this series too. I think they're up to volume 8, which just released or is just releasing, so I'm really excited about that. Homegoing is a beautiful book. And if you like generational stories, I would recommend this. It can be very brutal to get through, but it's beautiful. Some of these make me smile and then think, is there another volume out that I haven't read yet? Like A Gentle Noble's Vacation Recommendation. So good. I was just looking up accomplishments of the Duke's Daughter. Yay! Husband Material, and even Seasonal Fears. It's so good to see some of these and kind of relive that whole thing. I'll never forget the Atlas 6 and Accomplishments of the Duke's Daughter. I was finishing when I had COVID. So like they're kind of stuck in my head from that time period. Meet Me in the Margins was a really, really cute bookish romance too. I really liked that one. Jade Legacy. The end. The end of an era. I did actually like the conclusion to Jade Legacy. But if you haven't read that trilogy, you should. It's really good. what a good reading year. Like, I'm looking back at these and I'm just, I don't know, it kind of makes me smile. The Last House on Needless Street. Oh, I, this one surprised me and I really, really liked it because I was worried that representation in it would be one way or that they were using tropes, whatever. But no, it does have a good twist. It's kind of sad, but really impactful. Project Hail Mary. I know some people don't really like this one, but for me, it was a really good friendship tale, and it won my heart over. I really liked this one. I would say like a lot of the books that I read, like if you see a cover that sticks out to you or whatever, go ahead and give it a read because I read a lot of very successful books this year. Like they brought a lot of joy and peace to my brain and life. So yeah, go ahead and give it a read. Like every time I look at one of these covers, they give me the warm fuzzies. Like they just look so cozy. I loved this book and I can't wait to read more volumes of that as well. Oh. I was slightly disappointed in What Moves the Dead. I was hoping for a bit more creep factor, but it's alright. We'll move on. If it looks interesting to you, give it a read. It is just a retelling of the fall of the House of Usher. So if you already know the Edgar Allan Poe story, you know, you pretty much know what to expect. But there was some, good creep factor vibes in this that I wish were just stepped up a little bit more and that the book was a little bit longer, but that's just me and it doesn't matter. This one is a mix of graphic storytelling. It's not like really graphic novel storytelling, but graphic storytelling and like all pictorial and classic prose. And I enjoyed this one very much. It is, I think, more middle grade. It was middle grade to low level teen maybe, but I enjoyed that a lot. It's a quick read, but it's so good. Lisa Jewell, The Family Remains. Another twist at the end. And yes, I loved Daughter of the Moon Goddess. It's very, I don't know, the prose is beautiful. I loved the characters. Fun times. Paul Bear's Club, I liked that too. Oh, Babel. This is such a good book. I don't want to get too into anything in particular because I might be talking about certain things at another time. But yeah, Babel is a success and do highly recommend to readers. It was good. Blue Flag as well, which I did review. Blue Flag is pretty darn great. So if you have not read that yet, what are you waiting for? I will say that just personally, I'm still more of a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen than Chainsaw Man. That's just me. It's just me. Also, really can't wait to read more of Alice in Borderland because that's also much more of a fan of Alice in Borderland. Like this is definitely right up my alley. And I can't help but smile at The Other World's Books Depend on the Bean Counter because I really love that one too. And yes, I did also read Legends and Lattes this year, which probably several people have seen as like that cozy fantasy, and it is. Like it's a good gentle read. So if you're looking for something quick, cozy, Legends and Lattes is highly successful for that. Also, I actually love the other one more, but the Denise Williams books are a fun romance read. I still have not gotten to review this yet, but I love this series. And I didn't think that I would, but I really did, or do, because it's still going. But yeah, I'll talk about it at some point. Can't Stop Cursing You. Yes, love that one. Adult Assembly Required. Oh, it's so good to see some of these. Still have not finished Demon Slayer yet. I'm still on that like midway point of the series, so I've got to kick it into gear and actually read the rest of it. A Little Eve, I thought was really good. I finished, I think, 3 Katrina Ward books this year. Well, not this year, but 2022. It's now 2023. But yeah, last year I think I finished 3 Katrina Ward books, and I enjoyed them all. So Last House on Needless Street, Little Eve, and then finished the year with Sundial, and I liked them all. They were good. Tomorrow and Tomorrow, I liked that book. I liked the friendship in it, and it made me tear up a little bit, but it was really good. Yay, Sentence of a Bookworm. I'm like, wow, I still have quite a while to go, don't I? Maybe I should pick up the pace a little bit. I've reviewed this one. I like a lot of the ones on this page as well. This was a surprise book that stole my heart. And I love all of the Tales from the Cafe. I talked about a lot of these manga. And books. We are getting close to the end. I can feel it. These lovely cozy sci-fi. They're gentle reads. This book disturbed me a lot. The gun. Yeah. But this one was good though. The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. I like that one. And I can't not mention Lessons in Chemistry. That book was really, really good. I think a lot of people have been talking about this one recently as well. And yes, I just had fun with it. It was a good read. And here's my beloved Hirano and Kakiera, which I was so excited to finally be able to buy and support the author. Yeah, I'm so excited. I will be talking about this. I will be. And the light novel comes out soon. So I don't know if I'll combine it or talk about them separately, but it's coming. We are definitely coming to the end. This is a great book that's coming soon. I obviously read the arc of it. And oh. You can see that I finally fit in the light novel of the case files of Julia Richard. So happy. I will be reviewing that one as well, and probably like doing a little comparing to the manga, which I've already reviewed, but that was a good time. I'll just say that. And then some of these will be getting reviews soon. So yay! And there's the end with Sundial. My last review of the year was for Dan Da Dan. So, and I had to because I had the advanced reader copy version of it, so I had to give a review. And but I'm not gonna let you sit there with it because I'm gonna review it. And there you go. I read 680 out of 85 books, or 800% completed of my reading challenge. Congratulations, you're really good at reading, and probably a lot of other things too. Maybe. I don't know. So there you have it. I will let the live version of me conclude the video. So that was it for my reading for 2022. Yeah. I don't know what I'll get to, like how many books I will read in 2023. I know I set like my Goodreads reading thing up, and I'll talk about that probably in resolutions, because I usually with resolutions I include what challenges I hope to finish for the year. So I'll talk about that there. But other than that, like, yeah, I set that up as a goal, but I'm trying to just go with the flow. So who knows? I might not read as much this year as I did in 22, or I might end up reading more. I never know for sure. I take it one day at a time. I read when I feel like it. I listen to audiobooks when I feel like it. I do try to listen to audiobooks at least every day, and I do try to read a little bit from different books every day, but that doesn't mean I'm pressured to like finish, or at least that's my goal to accomplish, is to not pressure myself to feel like I have to finish X amount every day. So I am learning, and I am still growing because I'm a human. That's it for this video. Until next time. Bye.